Good afternoon, students. Today we shall understand two major aspects of the Indian Contract Act, under which we are going to study the consideration and free consent. So, what is consideration? We can refer to the section 2, subsection D. A consideration is defined very precisely, encompassing all the activities or the aspects of the consideration. In layman language, we can understand the consideration as the means of something in return. If you buy a material, you have to give in terms of money or the price for that. Or if you are hiring an employee, you have to pay him a salary or a commission. Similarly, if you are buying a house, you are going to pay in terms of rent or the mortgage. So whatever in return for enjoyment of the material, the services, it is nothing but a consideration. But that is not suffice in the Indian Contract Act, which clearly defines what is consideration under the subsection 2, subsection D. I mean to say, the section 2, subsection D is going to clearly define what is consideration. You can put, you can see under the noted comma, that is when at the desire of the promisor, the promisee or any other person has done or abstained from doing or does or abstains from doing or a promise to do or abstain from doing something such act or abstains or promise is called consideration for the promise. Can you see there are multiple aspects in this? One is when at the desire of the promisor. That is the first essential condition of the consideration. Whenever we say it's a lawful consideration, there should be the consideration should move from the at the desire of the promiser, not at the desire of the promisee. That means the person has to be who is going to execute, who is going to say that this is what is required, this is what is required for this pen, what is the rate of this stationery or this book. That means to say that he is going to fix up the price, that at the desire of the promiser, it has to come from the at the desire of the promiser. Second one, it could be the promisee or the any other person who is going to perform or who is going to liable to do or not to do or abstain from doing or promise to do or promise to abstain from doing or any other act which is going to be considered as a promise under the section 2 subsection D. So based on this promise, we can clearly identify some of the premises for the consideration. First one is it should move at the promiser at the desire of the promiser. Second one, it can move from the promisee or any other person. That means you can buy the property, you can occupy the property, or someone is going to occupy the property on behalf of you. That is nothing but you are going to be liable to pay, but the person is going to enjoy will be the different person. Second one, it could be an act or it could be a doing nothing, or it may be not doing, or maybe a written promise in terms of a promise you are going to make. So these are the essentials of the valid contract. However, other 2 points are there that will just quickly look onto it. One is it can be a future, it could be the present, or it could be the future, or maybe present future. That means it could be any tense. It could be the things which is done in the previously, or it's going to be it's going to be performed in future, or maybe currently pursuing. The consider could be the past or present or future, but it should be real, it should be not unclear, it should be very clear, it should be unambiguous. Second one, it is not something like that, it is going to be in written which is already you have performed or which you are bound to do. It is not a consideration, it should be you are going to do extra what you are going to see when you are buying a pen, when you're buying any books, it is necessary to you have to pay it. That means you are bound to do. If it is not bound to do, it is not considered as a consideration, and the consideration need not be adequate. That means to say that the product or the services may be offered at the lesser price or the higher price than the market price, or maybe the stipulated price. So the price or the consideration is not only the price, it could be the act, it could be the forbearance, it could be the abstain, or it could be the promise. So there are any aspect to do or not to do, to pay or not to pay, abstain from doing. So all the activities, all the payment, all the activities is encompassed under the consideration under the section 2 subsection D. Let us go for the other essential of the valid contract, that is free consent. When you have a contract without free consent, it is not a valid, it's a void by itself. So there are different sections which is earmarked for the free consent, that is section 15, section 18, section 17, then section 16, section 20, 21, 22. These are the different sections which is going to say what is going to be the free consent means. So any of these sections or any of the act, any of the things which is mentioned, which comes under the contract, will be deemed as a not competent or not sufficient for the to say that this is the valid contract, because there should be a the acceptance of the offer should be free from any of the coercion which is referred under the section 15. Then there should be the acceptance of the offer in a contract should be done on with the proper consent. We should not be misrepresentation. And third one, which is referred under the section 17, is fraud. See, fraud is as defined under the section 17. There are multiple subsections given under the section 17. One is subsection 1, which says that any false factual statement, that means any statement by intention to deceive. The premises for the section 17 is that intention to deceive, but whereas in misrepresentation there is no intention to deceive, to cheat, to make a fool of the other person. So if the case is to deceive some person with the intention to not to do, then it is called fraud under the section 17, which is having a 5 different subsections. That means giving the false factual statement and person making it knows to be false. That means you know that this is not a fact, but still you pretend to be that this is the fact, and you have idea that to cheat a person you are doing this activity called false representation, false information to the other person. Second one, concealing. The section 17 subsection 2 says it's concealing, hiding the information with the intention to cheat a person, with the intention to deceive a person, will be dealt under the section 17 subsection 2, which means that hiding the information, not disclosing to the other person who is a contract to the your to your contract. The third one is a promise made without intent to perform it. That means you have promise with knowing that it cannot be performed by you, or you have no intention to execute the promise. In that case, section 3, subsection 3 of the section 17 will be applicable. Then section 4 and 5, these are the act to deceive. It's the act, this is the doing something to deceive a person, which will be dealt under the section 17 subsection 4 and 5. Coming to the section 16, which is having a subsection 2 and 3, which is under the influence. So this section will be applicable when a consent has been obtained, when the acceptance for the offer is obtained by a person who is dominant position compared to other person, then it is called undue influence. The influence exerts on the other person who don't have the authority. A person who is having a authority to influence others because of his position, the position may be higher than the person who is going to be influenced. Is called undue influence. sorry, sorry. Then there should be the other aspect, that is mistake, which is referred in the section 20, 21, 22. What it says, it is the depiction of the information, depiction of the consent, depiction of the offer by mistake, by not knowing the fact as it is. And this section 20, 21, 22 deals with the mistake whenever you have any consent or the acceptance of the offer. Consent is basically acceptance of the offer. Acceptance the offer is called consent. So any acceptance the offer you take by coercion, that means by force, section 15 will going to do. There are different cases. Raghunath versus Union of India, which is in a milestone judgment in 1987, which says that any influence of the power, influence of the pressure to exert on the person to obtain a consent or the acceptance for the offer will be deemed as a not a free consent, and it will be considered as a not requisite, it's not a valid contract. Any of this condition is fulfilled, that is free consent is not fulfilled, consideration is not fulfilled, lawful object is not fulfilled, or void up initial, or the anything which is declared as a void or voidable nature contract, all those things are squashed by the honorable courts, which is essential for the valid contract, which is essential. What is that? One is consideration, offer and acceptance, two parties, then lawful consideration, lawful object, and should not be declared as a void in any of the sections or any of the act prevailing in India. So this is the free consent under the Indian Contract Act 1872. Thank you very much. We'll meet in the next session with the new topics. Thank you very much.